in space, so they clearly know who they are, and they're playing obviously extremely good football. So I think it translates, and that's a team I'm picking to win the AFC right now.
I'm on your side. Graziano, whose side are you on?
It's still the Chiefs for me. Look, I think that they have the loss to the Raiders, but Raiders are better than you think. And I just think this is a team, the expression is they're on cruise control. I think they're actually like a self-driving car, and the passenger's going to wake up when they get to January, and then things are going to kick in. But I think they know how good they are, and they're capable of beating anybody every week, and they're still the team to beat out there in the AFC.
If the car is driving itself and that is replaced by Patrick Mahomes driving the car, then that could be a step up when we get there. Jeff is next. Jeff, who you got best team in the AFC?
Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, this team was 8-3 last year when they scored 10 points or more. You got Ben Roethlisberger coming back off the injury. That was the wild card, right? They're averaging almost 25 points a game. You just heard what Greg said. They can run it at you. They can throw it at you. Claypool has been dynamic in what he can do. They can get him the ball a number of different ways. You're looking at this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Folks don't want to face them. They can beat in a number of different ways. But the defense, number one in pass and run, can't beat that.
Marcus, he okay?
I'm not. I'm just not okay.
Who you got?
Because everybody on this damn show know the Chiefs the best team in the AFC. Like, I get it. We got to make sure people stay interested. And the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. I mean, what are we talking about? The Chiefs just scored every possible way you can score in a football game. Sammy Watkins out, they enter a guy by the last name of Pringle, and he has an impact on the game. They just signed Le'Veon Bell. Listen, they played the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl with one of the best defenses we ever seen and ended up coming back on that team and winning the football game. I get it. I like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh really good. But y'all know damn well y'all high talking about the best team in the AFC.
Oh, he's stealing the shtick. The next thing you know, he'll be handing out pancakes. All right, so I was asking
I had to use it, Jeff. I had to use it on you.
Leave it there 1 second because we have to get to this, but I want to show you the results so far. Right now, 56% of those voting on my poll agree with Kansas City. 36% say Pittsburgh. Not a lot of support for Baltimore or Tennessee. That could change this weekend. Meanwhile,
is it you watched the injury happen as a player, as a wide receiver, and you were kind of puzzled that it happened on that play, essentially the second play of the game?
Yeah, I was like, it didn't look egregious. Usually when a dude gets an ACL, it's like, you know what I'm saying? He's twisted, turn it. I was like, when did he hurt it? You know, maybe when he jumped up, I couldn't tell. I was like, it didn't buckle. You know, usually you see it. It's out front. So I was like, dang. When did he actually hurt it? Did he actually hurt it at some other time? Then all of a sudden it completely tore?
We'll find out. Straight Talk. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Jay, what are your thoughts? Straight.
Well, first off, I feel horrible for OBJ.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about the timeline before we came on, Key. So if it takes you a year to come back from an ACL injury, now
typically a year.
Typically a year. So now you're talking about October of 2021.
No, I go into November.
November. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've had my ACL torn. It took me a year.
Because
so by the time
have the surgery till probably another week, right? Because of swelling and stuff like that?
Maybe. Or if you can get the swelling down, you can probably get it done next couple of days. But my thing is, depending upon it, coming off an injury, Key, it takes you a while for your body to find that rhythm. So by the time you actually get to peak performance after an ACL, maybe another 7-8 months. So you're talking about him maybe being fully in control of how great he feels into the season, 2022.
And everybody reacts from a mental standpoint differently when they have injuries, right? I mean, we don't know how he recovers in terms of his mental state. Now, OBJ's been banged up before. Mm-hmm. He's had hamstrings. I believe he had a quad of some sort with the Giants. So he's been out of the lineup before, but nothing to the standpoint of a 12-month rehab. It certainly is going to be a part of a mental rehabilitation more so than his knee. I mean, the knee part of it, I've 100% believe in whichever doctor and whichever rehab center he's using to get him back right on the field. It's all about the mental state, though. How is he going to be from a mental standpoint when he's out there running or afraid to break or cut or do some things that he needs to do with his quicks? That's one thing that he's got to have back is his lateral quickness and his ability to go up and high point the ball. Some of the things that you've seen in a rare athlete. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. And on top of that, you look at the timeline and you look at his age. When that clock turns 30, they start looking at you differently. Mm-hmm. And I think he's 29 years old at this point. And so now you get to be 30 and into your 30 and a half to that 31. They start looking at you real different.
And we didn't get a chance to see it this year because Klay Thompson didn't play. But Klay Thompson had torn his ACL. He could have came back and played this year, but I guarantee you Klay Thompson could have came back and played towards the end of the year, but how he would have played at the end of the year as opposed to how he's going to play next season will be drastically different because he'll have that much more confidence in his leg. But Key, it transitions me to a point, this whole notion and narrative that is starting to build within the media right now that, oh, this is addition by subtraction for the Browns and that the Browns are a better team without OBJ because now, you know, Baker Mayfield doesn't have to be fixated on him as a primary target. I heard Dan Orlovsky the other day on NFL Live say, well, look, the QBR number without OBJ on the field was 70, with him on the field was 73.6. Without him on the field for Baker Mayfield, it's 96.2. The completion rate with OBJ on the field, 53.8. With other receivers, 78.6. So all these numbers are skewing the against the Bengals. The Bengals give up 400 yards a game. All right, they allow you to score 27.7 points per game. It's going to look great against their secondary because their secondary's not good. I think we start to get into the meat of the season where the Browns need a big-time receiver to get them that target. I'm not saying Jarvis Landry can't do that, but still, you're going to miss him because he also takes so much attention away from people on the field.
Here's what I would say, Jay, to the numbers and to what people say. Yes, there is some truth to that by him not being on the field, the Browns are better. But let's clean that message up. Let's not make it – see, because what happens is they leave it out there and they hang it out, and people think that they're saying that the Browns are better because he's a distraction. So you got to remove that part of it. In terms of on the field, they probably will be a better passing team because Baker Mayfield will be better. And what I mean by that is he's not looking at number 13 as his first read all the time, even though Kevin Stefanski may have Odell sometimes as the third option because Baker Mayfield has such a relationship with him that he's the third option. Baker Mayfield eyes goes to 13 instead of 80, who's the first option on this particular pattern, particular route, particular formation that they call. And that happens across the board on every single team in the National Football League and every single quarterback for that matter, is that when something is called, even Tom Brady, when it's called, you're so locked in on Gronkowski that you forget that the play really was called for Mike Evans. And so you drop back because you're so used to throwing to number 13 in Baker's mind, he's looking at it and going, well, he's going to win for me. He's going to win for me. And it forces the throws to him. So when he's not on the field, I don't have to worry about OBJ and get back to a check down if need be, opposed to holding on to the ball, waiting for OBJ to break free, and then all of a sudden I'm sacked or I'm flushed out of the pocket because I got off my mark. That all is true. But what happens with the media is they're setting it up as if OBJ's a problem. They haven't done what I'm doing. They're not explaining it to you. Mm-hmm. They're just throwing a number out there and saying they're better off without him and not really telling you the full context of why there may be, not even the team, the quarterback may be better off without him. Does that make sense to you? It makes sense. Because they're not telling you that. They just want to make it sound like OBJ's a problem, and that's not the case. The problem is OBJ has a relationship with Baker Mayfield because he's a great player. And all great receivers have relationships with quarterbacks. So quarterbacks